Welcome back to Stars Volta, Season 1, Episode 7. Our next guest is the most interesting, most energetic, most charismatic person you'll ever meet. He is 6 foot, 300 pounds. He played football at Northwestern University, where he was a defensive tackle and a super back. He won 2 Big Ten West championships and 3 bowl games. He was also the first person to get an NIL to the WWE, and that's where he is today. He's a professional wrestler, the pride of Montini Catholic High School, Tank Ledger.
Yes, sir. Gosh, Stevie, put me over big time. We can only go down from there, but I'll try to say the most energetic person in the world. I mean, pump the volume up and let's damage some eardrums listening to Stars Volta. Come on, babe.
You got the juice. You may be missing a tooth, but you got the juice.
Just a little chip. We're all right. Nothing new. Still got the juice, baby. Always.
I'm a big Northwestern fan. I grew up in Evanston, or I was born in Evanston, and that's where Northwestern is. I'm a big football fan. And you were actually a walk-on defensive tackle and super back at Northwestern. And you actually, you got the most prestigious honor that there is in Northwestern football, and that was becoming the team captain as a senior, being named Mr. Wildcat and being able to wear that prestigious number 1 jersey. So tell us a little bit about your journey to Northwestern. I know that you're at Montini Catholic. You went to the state championship 3 times, won a state championship there.
Third time was a charm. Hell yeah.
So you're a big time wrestler there too. What was your kind of journey to Northwestern to play football there?
Yeah. It definitely goes back further than Montini Catholic in Lombard, Illinois. I can't say enough about my high school. It was such a special time in my life. But, my journey as an athlete and, a lot of the qualities that were instilled in me, that got me to where I am today, came into play far before Montini. I can remember going to my first wrestling practice in kindergarten and walking out with my dad and being like, that was the greatest thing ever. I'm going to be an Olympic champion. And then I can remember in 4th grade going to my first football practice and being like, wait a second, you're telling me that I get a running start at people now and I don't have other guys' sweaty armpits in my face? Yeah, this is the deal right here. So football and wrestling were my life, and they were my life, and my parents and I have 3 amazing older sisters. The 5 of them kept me motivated through every tournament, through every game, through every season, through every up and down. And I'm going to be honest, there weren't a lot of downs. I was blessed with an awesome childhood in sports and out of sports. And like you said, that culminated at Montini. I'm someone who's a man of God and try to live by my faith. And Montini gave me that while also being a established football and wrestling powerhouse. Actually, it was one of the, I think it was, I'm not going to say any newspapers, but it was one of the Chicago newspapers just a couple weeks ago wrote, if there's any sports dynasties in the state, this is the ultimate list of them that have ever existed. And one of the number 1s was Montini football. So I was so fortunate to play there and be at a school that had college coaches coming in every single week that they were able to. Because I knew going into high school, I'm going to have a great high school experience and make a lot of friends and win some state championships. But I knew that my goal was to play college football. You mentioned I'm from Big Ten country, just 45 minutes away from you in Evanston, where I ended up going to school, and grew up dreaming about Big Ten football. And was super blessed because of the opportunities Montini gave me to have a lot of offers coming out of high school. But one that never came was Northwestern, the school that I can't at more than anywhere, that I loved the coaches, that I gelled with the players. It was close to home. It had the academics. It had everything. It had the lake, the best cold tub in the country, the biggest lake there is. And it was fantastic. They never offered, but I will always be grateful to Coach Fitz, because I remember it was after my last camp I did there, going into my senior year of high school. I would always do at least 2 to 3 camps just at Northwestern every year. So I would do one of their just Northwestern camps, and then they have their big showcases. So I would do 1 or 2 of those as well. And I remember after the last camp I did there, felt great, balled out, had gotten offers from a bunch of MAC schools, Mountain West. They have all the teams there. It was a great day for me. And I remember I was walking out, And Coach Lawn, who was my defensive line coach, came trotting after me and said, "Hey, come to the office. Call your dad. He's in the car, right?" I said, "Yeah." So I'm walking behind Coach Lawn. I'm like, "Dad, get in here." My dad's like, "Shut up, just get in the car. You're messing with me. Whatever, dude." I'm like, "Dad, the offices." So we're freaking out. We're like, "Oh my gosh, it's gonna happen. We're gonna get the offer. We're gonna commit, signed, sealed, delivered." And Coach Fitz brought me into his office, and I will always be thankful. He said, "Joe, we love you. We want you here." He looked me in the eyes and said, "I think you can be a big time player here, but we don't have a scholarship right now." And I will always be so grateful that he was that transparent. And that's how he was my whole
Yeah.
career. And, I felt transparency. I felt that love in that building. And despite having offers from all over the place, getting a late offer from Michigan State, I stuck to my commitment to Northwestern. And it was truly the best decision I've ever made to this point, because the moments, the memories, the relationships I have from that school, they're second to none. And anyone who's thinking about Division I sports, too, Stevie, they set you up for life. They're a special, special thing.
Yeah, and yeah, you weren't kidding. Getting back to what you originally said with Montini, state champions 2010, 11, 12, 13. Then you were with them and took them to the state championship 14, 15, and 16, and you won. You said you're the third time that you made it there. So
I have to real quickly clear the air. Had a great experience at Montini. Wrestled my freshman, sophomore years. You said something about you being a stud wrestler. I was no stud wrestler at Montini. I was okay. Love that team. Love those coaches, but I don't want any of their old coaches being like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, Spivak's taking flowers. He doesn't deserve it." I had a great experience. Unbelievable wrestling program too, but football was my pride and joy in my time at Montini, and now I'm back in the wrestling game in a different way. I just don't want any confusion to be out there.
yeah, no confusion. Big time football player. So you're one of what was it, like 10 or 12 people your freshman year to start as a true or not to start, to play as a true freshman. That year in 2017, and you guys were, that was a stacked team. You guys were 10-3. You guys went to the Music City Bowl. Who are some of the guys that you looked up to? Northwestern has a bunch of guys who are in the NFL. Tyler Lancaster was another guy who wore number 1, played on the defensive line with you guys. Tell me, who were some of the people that you guys looked up to, or who you looked up to?
Hey, I mean, A1, you just said it, is Tyler Lancaster. He was my big brother going into Northwestern. I remember he texted me like a week before I got on campus, 2 weeks before. He's like, "Hey Joe," he had known me through camps and everything like that. He's like, "Hey Joe, like, I'm gonna be your big bro coming out." I'm like, "No way, let's go." So we had a relationship before I even got there, and I always say that I hope he takes this the right way. Tyler's the type of person who is so kind, and genuinely, when he talks to you, you can feel how much he cares about you, that like you just start feeling bad about yourself when you're around him, because you're like, this is who I want to be like. And Tyler was just such a good person to be around, who led by example, but also just a mentor for me, who had gone through the struggles I did as a freshman, fighting to get on that field, fighting to acclimate to college, all those different things. And I'm just forever grateful for him. He, like I said, he is truly A1. That's the first guy that comes to mind, but you can go down the list of that D line room that I had. Guys like Joe Gaziano, Jordan Thompson, Fred Wyatt, Ben Oxley is one of my best friends in the world, has his baby girl right now. They're just excellent, excellent people that will be in my life forever. And it was just such a tribute to Northwestern and a tribute to college athletics when you step into a locker room that makes you feel so at home. That's going to push you, that's going to be competitive, but at the same time makes it known that we're in this together and we've been in your shoes. I remember we had this one meeting. It was just some of the underclassmen, defensive linemen. It was kind of a crash course intro to the defense and defensive line tactics. And for
Yeah.
lack of a better term, everything hit the fan. It was an absolute disaster of a meeting. We got thrown out. We're like, what did we just step into? We don't know what anyone's talking about. Our We walk into the locker room, and the older D linemen are like, "So what happened?" We're like, "It went terrible." We're like, "Oh yeah," because they had been there. They were like, "Don't overthink it. It happens to all of us. Like, you'll laugh at it when it happens to the younger guys when you're older." And it's just, that's one of the best things about college, is going full circle and being able to be that mentor, hopefully for some of the guys that are still there now, and still being friends with Lanny and Ben and all those guys.
Yeah, and it had to feel great to be a part of, winning culture and be able to create that. I mean, I said I grew up in Evanston and watched some pretty bad teams. Fitz was like on the last team that was good back in 1995 when they went to the Rose Bowl, and it was just a lot of uh, bad teams. You got to say from then until the time that you got there, and you were able to go to 3 bowl games and win 3 bowl games, win 2 Big West championships, and the bowl games that you went to were amazing. Like the first one that you played against Kentucky, where Benny Snell gets kicked out of the game, Justin Jackson runs all over them, gets 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kentucky storms back, scores. They're down 1, decides to go for 2, and they don't get it with 1 minute and 54 seconds left. It's like, wow, that's a hell of a way to win a bowl game.
I hate to cut you off, but you're missing the fact that our NFL quarterback, Clayton Thorson,
Oh
unbelievable
yeah,
leader, great man, awesome dude, love him to death, goes down and in the last game of his career, right? The last game of his career, or did he play with me sophomore? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Goes down in the last game of the season for Matt Alviti, 5th or 6th year. I don't know, but he was old at the time.
that's right.
Steps up and delivers and led us back. There was nothing but love for Clayton in that locker room. He was an awesome leader, but everyone was behind Alviti because he
Yeah.
stepped up to the plate. That was a hell of a game, and I appreciate you reliving that. That was fun.
Yeah. When I look at the box score, I'm like, LVD. I'm like, what the? I'm like, oh yeah, Thorson went down, but he did play the next year when you guys won the Big Ten West, and then you guys went to the Holiday Bowl. You guys were 9-5 that year, and that was another amazing game against Utah. You guys won 31-20, but you guys were down 20-3 at halftime, and I was like, oh my god, like they're not gonna come back from this, and then you guys just went ahead and put 28 up in the third quarter and ended up winning.
Utah one was a wild one, really, especially too, because when you're down 3, I mean, I'll just say it, Stevie, you weren't the only person thinking that. We're in the locker room. Got to go down one play at a time. We're like, all right, here goes freaking nothing. Later after that season, in that spring practice, our like it was a president or administrator, I don't know who it was, came to practice and they were like kind of talking, addressing the team, someone who had been around the team, and they were like saying how proud they were of us. They're like, I'm gonna be honest, guys, I was walking out of the stadium. I didn't think you were gonna do it, but you did it. We're like, hell yeah, baby. Rallied back.
uh,
Fun one going as a big old Samoans from Utah. It was a good game.
oh my gosh. Yeah. What was said by Fitz or Hankowitz in the locker room? They say anything like?
Dude, I mean, what I remember, I remember the locker room much more vividly after the game because it was a great celebration. That was a great night. We had a lot. But I mean, I literally remember like, no one freaked out. It was very matter of fact of we dug ourselves a hell of a hole, boys. Let's see how good we are out of it. And it was literally just like I think it was Coach Fitz who literally said, "We go in, we get the ball, we score, we get a stop, we score, win the game." And then that happened, and we were like, "Wait, it's happening. We're gonna do it." And then once the momentum was in our favor, it's the last game of the season. You're in California. It's raining a little bit. You're on the field that LaDainian Tomlinson rushed for millions of yards, and it may as well have been. We were like, "All right, we're unstoppable now." I remember we someone had a huge hit. Huge. It was, I don't know if it was a 3rd or 4th down stop or if it was just a big TFL or something, but someone clobbered somebody and Fitz loses his mind. You would have thought that we were the ones receiving the blow, but the Cats made a huge play. Fitz loses his mind, throws the headset, and turns to the whole silence. That's Big Ten football, and we just erupt.
Yeah.
And from there, it was done for. From there, I will never forget that moment.
That's amazing. Yeah, so big time win there, and then going into your grad year. Well, actually, in 2020, you guys won the Big Ten again, Big Ten West again. Then you go to the Citrus Bowl. You guys spank Auburn. Well, it was a close game until the fourth quarter, and you guys spanked them 35-19. Peyton Ramsey, 292 yards, 1 touchdown. Cam Porter, 98 yards, 1 touchdown, and you guys, you ended up finishing 10th overall at the end of the season, really putting your stamp on, that last like 5 years that you guys had there as a legit team. And you're not the old Northwestern where, bottom of the barrel Big Ten. You're actually someone that is going to compete for championships. So how did that feel to kind of revamp Northwestern football?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly was not. I was an okay player and I had a great experience, but I certainly was not the one who revamped it. That was built over years between Coach Fitz and Coach Hankowitz and so many people in the locker room first and foremost, in the training room, in the strength room, and then beyond with donors and supporters. Just so many people, and I'm so blessed to have been a little brick in what was laid, and hopefully is laid for the future. We Northwestern is struggling still to find that consistent success. We hit it.
Hmm.
We know the formula. We knows what it feels like. We knows what it looks like when we see it. But we're just a hair away of getting that consistent success. And I was very blessed to have been there and had those 3 great years of my 5. And that's just a testament to the people around there, the people that were surrounded by me, the people that were surrounding me, excuse me, and like I said, the people that came before me. It's very, very hard to win college football games. You see
Yeah.
teams like Alabama, um, and as you go through college football, you just get more, at least myself, I personally got more and more respect for a team like that shows up every single week and produces and performs, because it's a really hard game and it's a hard thing to do. And it's
Yeah.
truly, I always, when people compared sports, well, this sport's harder than this sport's harder than this. No one can do what each other does. They're all crazy in their own
Yeah.
element. If you put me in
Yeah.
a MLB or a little league batter's box for that, I'd be shaking in my boots. Every sport needs it. Football is very unique that you need 11 people on the field on the exact same page, playing cohesively, while everyone on the other side, the other 11, are going for the same thing and everyone's imposing their wills. Winning each
Yeah.
play is a very difficult thing, and that's what it takes to win games. So Northwestern's
Yeah.
right there. They're at the cusp. We've come so far, like you said, since the 90s and stuff like that, obviously peaking in 95 and getting back, fighting back to where we've been the past couple of years. We just need to turn that switch, flip that script, and do what I know they can do. And I'm like I said, I'm just so happy
Yeah.
to have been a part of that because it's done so much for me.
Yeah. It seems like Northwestern, they get string together 2 to 3 years of really good football, and it seems like once those seniors, like once the top class leaves, it feels like it's a big jump, and they fall, and they need, like you said, be a little bit more consistent. But speaking of seniors, when you were a grad going to grad school, your 5th year there, like we talked about, you got the number 1 jersey and were named Mr. Wildcat. It was the 10th year of them doing that, of Fitz doing that. Tell me what that had to feel like to walk on, take a chance there. Like you said, you could have went to Michigan State, you could have had that scholarship and played there, but you decided to go to Northwestern and then have it all come forward and be named Mr. Wildcat.
That was hands down one of the greatest moments of my life to this day, and something I'll never forget. I can remember. I'll never forget getting emotional seeing Tyler Lancaster receive that jersey my freshman year. Sitting in the back of the team meeting room where the freshmen sit in my assigned seat. And I remember seeing the place erupt for Tyler and just thinking to myself, that's going to be me. I want to do that. I want to be, not for myself, but I want to be that type of person for this program, because that's a special thing about the number 1 jersey is it's not from the coaches, it's from the players. I said to myself, I want to
Yeah.
be that leader for my brethren, because I'm already in love with these guys. They're amazing. They're there for me. How dare I not be the best version of myself for them? And I'll never forget seeing Tyler receive it. And that was the only thing I was thinking about when Fitz called my name, and I was lucky enough to receive it and get swarmed by my boys, excuse me, fire them up a little bit. And that was the end of the meeting. And I remember I immediately went outside and called Tyler Lancaster crying, because it was just a very full circle moment. And it's just a huge honor because, like I said, it's from my peers who I had grinded and struggled with. And just at the end of the day, a coach can say this, a teacher can say this can happen, this can happen. But the guys that you're putting your hand in the dirt in, you're doing conditioning all through the year with, lifting the heavy weights with, like, those are the people who you're going to have for the rest of your life more than anything. And you want to
Yeah.
know that you got them too.
Yeah. Yeah, such a great honor, but I don't know what's more impressive, that or you being the host of Wow.
Wow. Wow. Not sleep on Wow, okay? Wow was a fun little bit the last couple of years. Think we need to reinvigorate it some way at the WWE.
Yeah, you gotta bring it back. You gotta bring back Wow.
Brought it up. Hell yeah.
You should bring it back and maybe get some of the, some of your teammates that you had on previously to do it again, or get your tag team partner, Hank Walker, to get on with you. What was the most impressive thing you saw on WoW? What was the most impressive thing from WoW?
Memory now, Stevie. I mean, first and foremost, there was a small bit in the finale, the final episode of WoW we did, where we gave some flowers to the Northwestern field hockey team on winning the national championship. I want to clear the air and
Uh,
say that not nearly flowers were given to them. That should have been a giant episode just about them. That's the most impressive thing because that's a huge accomplishment. But with the exception of that, I mean, I think about it just comes to mind because he's so silly and he's my best friend in the world. But Jake Saunders, like, absolutely just shotgunning bottles of water like it's nothing. That really got me. Like, I'm biased because he's my best friend. I was talking to
yeah,
him before that. Like that comes to mind. I mean, let's be honest. None of Sam Miller also can name any country capital in the world. That's something I've been spoiled with. That people are like, no, you should have scored that higher. That's a really cool thing that he can do. Literally any country in the world. So that's actually
yeah.
second behind the. I think those are the two.
That's pretty impressive. And did hosting WoW help you in any form when it comes to being a wrestler and having, that on camera performance?
I think so. Maybe. I mean, I had a lot of fun with. At my time at Northwestern, I went in not being exactly sure what I was going to do after football. Obviously, the NFL was the dream, but I wasn't, that only goes so far. And I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do, but I knew it wanted to be either in front of a crowd, in front of a camera, with a microphone, with a headset, whatever it may be, because I always loved public speaking, giving presentations, acting, this, that, the other thing. I just love being in front of people, being able to connect,
Yeah.
do things like this, right? And it took a lot. It took me in a lot of different directions at Northwestern that I'm super thankful for. One of them being WoW, others being getting a theater minor and doing little skits with them, doing improv classes, doing improv at Second City, all these different things, hosting and emceeing all of our student athlete functions and career development things where I was guiding panels and things like that. I like to think that all of that, is help me get to where I'm at right now and is going to continue to help me with where I want to go in the future. Because obviously, my
Yeah.
my life is being a WWE superstar right now, but I want to be a force in the sports entertainment and sports world combined. Because that, like I said, I just love connecting with people. And through Northwestern, I was always finding ways to just practice those muscles, practice those muscles. As we all know, if you don't use something, you're going to lose it. So just getting on cameras, getting in front of crowds, that was what I was prioritizing outside of football at Northwestern.
Yeah. If you're juiceless, you're useless. So tell us a little bit, we touched on wrestling. Tell us a little bit about getting that NIL deal and how the process started to you, joining the WWE and being on the WWE next.
For sure, for sure. It's NXT. Love it though.
Sorry,
Same
sorry,
idea.
sorry.
Sorry, I have to. I'll get in trouble. Um,
Yep,
uh,
yep.
I have to. There's a perfect transition though, because like I was saying, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do coming into Northwestern. Like I said, but I knew I wanted to be in front of people, and I can remember, uh, it was actually funny. I had a match last night. Shout out if you're watching on USA Network at 8 p.m. Eastern time for all the people listening. I had a match last night, and it was perfect because Coach Spanos and Coach Flannery and Coach Hooten, some of my former Northwestern strength coaches, were in the building for the match. It was awesome. It
No
was so
way.
great for them to. And I can remember you guys will understand where I'm going with this, but I can remember being in probably end of freshman year, maybe sophomore year of college. And, at the end of like Friday workouts, we'd be hitting arms, getting ready for the weekend, having fun. And I can remember Coach Hoot, Coach Flan, Coach Spanos, they would pop on like WWE entrance music. And we'd start cutting promos and people would be spitting water like Triple H, just getting hyped up. Straight testosterone, good stuff, good, clean American fun, as Coach Fitz would say.
Hmm.
And we'd always having fun. And me and Spanos would always be talking about it, with Coach Flan. And finally one day I was kind of like, I liked WWE when I was younger. Like, I know I love football and competition and training and some controlled chaos, but then I know I love being in front of people and talking. I'm like, where do these two things together better than the WWE. And it just kind of hit me one day that I'm like, okay, it literally has the two things that light a fire in me more than anything else in one place. So I just started reaching out, kind of started making calls. We had some Northwestern connections that were in, the corporate offices here, and then also some connections in the talent side with strength coaches and on-air personalities, and just was talking to anyone I could. Just simple questions:
Mhm.
what can I be doing next? Who should I be reaching out to? And that went on for a couple years, far before NIL was ever in the picture, and was very fortunate enough to get in touch with, Trent Wolfinger and Christian Hauser while they were putting together the NIL program, their first inaugural class, that first year that
Mhm.
NIL was allowed for college athletes. And I took a lot of pride in being someone that maybe they didn't necessarily find because I was 7 feet tall or because I had all these Instagram followers. And don't get me wrong, those are great assets for this business. I'm not throwing any shade whatsoever, but I took a lot of pride in being someone who had reaching out and calling and asking all these questions, and then talk to the right people at the right time, hammered them, spammed Mr. Wolfinger's email with promos. And he said, yes, this is someone that we can believe in and put some stock in it, and let him be a part of this cool program and see where it goes. And, I think it's been good so far. That's about a year and a half ago that I was signed to the NIL deal, and then quickly
Yeah.
enough was signed to NXT. So it really moved fast, but that was kind of the journey to get in touch with NIL, and I can talk more about my experience with their NIL program because it's
Yeah.
fantastic. It's truly paving the way for the NIL movement, and they're doing it the right way, which I think a lot of people aren't.
Well, you talked about how you were in Northwestern's weight room coming out with an intro song. So, what is your intro song now?
So I got a fun little Chicago bluesy rock ZZ Top kind of vibe to my song right now. Um, but because I'm tagging with my buddy Hank now, best friend down here, Hank Walker, great dude. We're kind of, we might be in between some stuff. I can't say anything for sure, but we might have some new
Okay.
stuff coming. If you're not familiar with NXT, like I said, watch it on USA Network Tuesdays 8 p.m. And when you hear kind of ZZ Top vibe, you'll see Hank and Tank coming out.
Yeah, your match last night was against Briggs and Jensen, and you lost a tooth. You got hit in the face. Your tooth came out, and you tucked it into your singlet.
Got it. Maybe they could glue it back. We'll figure it out. I got a dentist appointment tomorrow, but I mean, pretty fun. You can get in there with guys like Briggs and Jensen, who are great dudes around here, next to your best friend Hank. Get your tooth knocked out, and call it a good night of work. That's a pretty cool thing that I'm able to do. So it was a good night for sure.
That's great. Good night, and you're for your team, Hanky and Tanky. Is that what you're calling each other?
Once again, all under construction, but yeah, it's a nice hanky tanky.
That's nice. So what is your schedule like as a professional wrestler? Or where how often are you guys traveling? How often are you wrestling? How often are you training?
For sure. I mean, here at NXT, I like to compare it just because this is the world I know. It's very comparable to D1 college athletics, to professional athletes. It's very comparable to all of that because you're in the morning with your lift group, getting after it, conditioning, hitting some fueling up, and then getting in the ring for practice. You're training with your group for the next couple hours, 2-3 hours, whatever it may be. We have the best coaches in the world down here that so thankful to be surrounded by. And then it's a little break, and then in the afternoon you're back in the rain. You're watching film. It's like it's very similar to that pro athlete, to that D1 college athlete lifestyle. And I think that's I'm very fortunate that I was accustomed to that lifestyle and got to step
Mm,
into another flow. As far as traveling for us at NXT, it's less. It's more so through the state of Florida. Our Tuesday
mhm,
shows are in the same spot in Orlando every week. But then on the weekends, we travel through the state of Florida, just giving our live shows, which are a hoot. We have the best fans in the world that show out every time. But then for the main roster, they're obviously on the road very heavy. That is their life. I don't know that life yet, but have some friends up there that have talked about it, and it's definitely a roller coaster. But I think it really seems like WWE continues to give them the tools they need to succeed.
yeah. So what's the next step for you? Like, how do you get up to that next level?
All I'm worried about right now is just being there every Tuesday night for the NXT universe on NXT. Like I said, that I just broke into NXT, had my debut 2-3 weeks ago. And I'm just so blessed. I'm so fortunate to be moving so fast. I'm putting in the work, obviously, but a lot of things are going in my favor too. And that's because of the NXT universe. It's because of our awesome fans that tune in and show up every single Tuesday night. So the next step is obvious, is getting a belt, is getting deeper in the card, is working your way onto a Raw and a SmackDown. But that's down the road. And like I said, what's right in front of me right now is just becoming a better wrestler for those fans on Tuesday nights, whether it's in the ring by myself or whether it's in the ring with Hank. I know he has the same sentiment, that we just want to continue to perfect this craft, because we're very fortunate that we came from a football background. Obviously, Hank played in the league for a couple of years, and that's helped us, but it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
This is a completely different beast. Professional wrestling, like I said earlier in the podcast, you have to give flowers to every single sport, because they all have these different intricacies, talents, skills, and grit factors that the other ones don't have. The same applies for professional wrestling. We're fortunate we had that preparation through football, but this is a different beast. So just perfecting this craft and coming to work every day. Like I said, I got to train and be around the best coaches in the world today, joke about my tooth, and that's a day of work for me, which is a pretty damn.
What kind of toll is your body taking, wrestling and training so much?
For sure. I mean, it's definitely different, Stevie, from football. Being the way it was phrased to me early on was, football, you're preparing for one giant car crash at the end of the week. You have 13, 15, 16, whatever, how many of these car crashes a year, and every Saturday at this time we're getting into it, and it's going to be a street fight. It's going to be awesome. And then you have your off season, and you prepare and get your body right and get as strong as you can, as fast as you can, conditioning as you can, to do it all again. Whereas wrestling, you're having smaller car crashes every single day of the week. You have your matches on.
Yeah.
For me right now, it's Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. And then your training is a little bit different, but still similar. Small car crashes every day of the week, 52 weeks a year. That's something that I'm learning, is there is no off season in this business. You got to be ready to go at all times. And, it's the same for football. It's the same for wrestling. I'd venture to say it's the same for any sport, especially on the professional level. The best ability is availability. So the training, keeping my body in intact, and not only intact, but in best condition, has absolutely changed a little bit. I'm still someone who wants to beat the crap out of myself a couple times a week and really get after it and prepare hard and lift heavy weights and be on the floor gasping for air. But when we do that, it needs to be more calculated, need to be ready for the match. That's what's most important.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I guess we'll leave it with one last question for you. You're a guy who earned pretty much everything that you got. You're a walk on to Northwestern. You end up becoming the team captain and earning that number 1 jersey. And like you just said, you found a way to make something out of nothing when it came to the WWE, something that you didn't even know existed. You kind of brainstormed and it came to fruition, and you knew that was something you wanted to do, and you pounded whether it be the phones or emails until it happened. What would you say to someone, let's say in high school or even in college, that's kind of losing their motivation and not knowing what they want to do? What would you tell them to keep going?
Making sure I'm right. 4 words: action drives the passion. Don't sit around waiting to get this insane motivation and inspiration and passion to go out and then attack it. Screw that. Action drives the passion. If you have something you want to do, take the first step and get rolling. If I had a dime for every time that I didn't want to work out, didn't want to practice speaking, didn't want to call this person, didn't want to send this email, I'd be a really rich man. And I'm only 24. There's a lot of times I don't feel like doing stuff, but I always remind myself, and I have to give flowers to my best friend. I mentioned him earlier, Jake Saunders. He always reminds me, we always remind each other, action drives the passion. And guess what? The great thing is it's true. The second you get rolling with something that maybe you weren't really jacked up to do, you get 15 minutes into the workout, into the speech, whatever it may be, and you start going, oh, that's right, I do love this stuff. This is what I live for. Whether it's pursuing college athletics, whether it's pursuing whatever career it may be or a relationship in your life, whatever it is, just take that first step. Stop waiting, send an email, send a text, get on the treadmill. Just action drives the passion. Those are words that I definitely have up on my light switch and think about every single day.
Excellent. And then just one more time, tell everybody where they can find you on social media and where they can watch your next wrestling match.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate you letting me plug, brother. Check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Tank Ledger, WWE. That's tank, like military tanks, TankLedger, WWE, on Instagram and Twitter. And then most importantly, guys, really don't care at the social media at the end of the day. Most importantly, tune into USA Networks at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday nights. USA Network for NXT, guys. It's a lot of fun. You're going to like what you see. We have a special product with special people that I'm blessed to call my coworkers.
Thank you so much for being on the show. You're a legend, and I will be tuning in to watch your next match. Hopefully, you keep your teeth in this one, and hopefully, you start WoW back up again.
Need to get WoW going again for sure.
Excellent. All right, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you to the legend Tank Ledger, and go Cats, baby.
Go Cats, brother. Thank you.